Hello everyone and welcome. Yes, my name is Aerofire. Welcome back to another episode of Look Out and Shout. One we've had to wait a while for. Today we are finally reviewing. I say we're waiting a while, it's only just come out, but this is FT-21. We're going that far back. Berserk, Fanstoys version of a G1 Blitzwing. So, for what I remember of this was delayed, and I actually remember any pre-orders that existed for it were not honoured, taken down and refunded. And I think I even saw a line somewhere that said it was at the time when Fanstoys decided to go for hyper-toon accuracy. So it was a complete redesign for whatever they produced. Maybe. We never saw it get very far. So who's to say what the change was, what they even had to begin with. But FT-21, we are going quite far back. But we are here now, and yeah, really pleased that this has come out. Box is nice with the typical characteristic artwork of Blitzwing and his two modes, and a lot of nice product shots on the back of poses you can get him in and the various alt modes. Inside the box comes the figure, along with many multiple faces and eye visors as well. If you've had the Fanstoys Magnus, their Marg, it's much of a similar situation, along with printed instructions and the collector's card, although there are video instructions on Fanstoys' YouTube channel. For the purpose of this review, I'll be following the instructions on their YouTube channel. And you too can pick up your own copy of this figure from PrimeTime Toyz. So they do fantastic shipping and have some really nice rare third-party offerings and other lovely toys as well. I'll put a link in the description below. Thank you very much to PrimeTime for getting me this figure. We've waited long enough. Let's get into it, shall we? And there he is in his robot mode. That purple, that paint, as televised, as advertised, is beautiful. It just makes you not want to put it in its other modes. Well, maybe not so much the jet mode, for hiding it away. It's lovely. Certainly when you put it alongside figures that maybe don't have such a premium paint job on them. It really is impressive and has a good wow factor, that typical Fanstoys wow factor that you get for taking it straight out of the box. When you see it, when I first saw it, I thought that could be very heavy in the wrong places. That could have stability issues of just simply standing up because of the weight, because of it being a triple changer and all the die cast. I am pleased to report it doesn't feel top heavy and it doesn't have balancing issues. I do suspect maybe a couple of, maybe not issues, just something to be mindful of around the knees, but generally speaking, no immediate problems, and it looks fantastic. I've got him holding his two weapons, and yeah, I've changed the face as well, just to give him a bit more of a menacing look. You have to do some unboxing and untabbing. I would recommend when you get this to go on the Fanstoys YouTube channel, look at their unboxing video. It shows you how to undo the back to get the turret out. It's a little bit of a yank you have to do to the turret to get it away from the body on what isn't the deepest point in the world, but other than that it's fairly straightforward. But I do recommend you check it out when you get the figure in hand the first time. Let's get in for a closer look. I mean, just look how he shines and catches the light everywhere. It's lovely. So cool. Okay, I want to quickly show you the, well, you've got a bit of the articulation, the double bend, nearly double bend at the elbow, almost all the way up. Will start to bump in a bit, but that's pretty cool. I guess an issue I've got, at least on mine, he holds a sword absolutely perfectly. No issue. It's got its usual groove that it pegs into, in and out, and it's absolutely fine. So you've seen it, it pegs in, not a problem. The hands are very robust, very chunky thumbs, individual moving fingers. They don't spread, but they got individual knuckle bend, wrist rotation, easy for me to say. But yes, it's fine. Now, the gun, I can't seem to get it to peg into the bottom of the wrist. Let me show you on this hand. The groove is only towards the bottom, and you typically have to cascade away the thumb at the top. Where I've got him here, if I open out the fist, you'll see you thread the fingers through the magazine clip or the holster of the gun, and you've got a nice trigger finger of itself. That's okay, but the peg, I can't seem to get it in to this groove, whether it's clenched fist or otherwise. I'm doing it on this hand just to show you. I've tried it on both. Thread the fingers through the magazine clip, and I can't, no matter how much force I apply, whether it's bumping into the forearm or not, I cannot get it to bite in. But it's not terrible because the hands are very robust and you more or less grip it and he'll hold with very minimal droopage. At least that's on my copy. I don't know if that's a design issue or just on mine. I would say it holds it strongly enough that any play is minimal. So I'm not going to cry too much about it. To really look from a distance, whether it's pegged in or not, you'll never see it, and it's not going to drop on the floor as soon as you turn away. It's the one thing I've just noticed, and no matter how firm I push it, I can't seem to get it to peg into that groove. I thought I'd mention it. Very nice feet on the go. I like that kind of fanned out look at the bottom. There's no heels to fan out, but that's the underside, if in case you want to see. I'll show you a bit of articulation as we go up the figure. There's the ankle tilt. It's stiff, but it's there. Toe tilt down as well. Nice and sturdy. Now the knees. Okay, the weight seems to be in the bottom half of the figure, if anything. So if we get some of the hip skirts out of the way, that's kind of what I've noticed to happen. There is kind of this latching away, and I don't think there's any pegs on the inside of the knee to lock onto. But it's not the end of the world, because you get this good ratchet out and exposure of further knee. But that's probably, at the same time, all the bend you'll get, just under 90 degrees. I'm not going to worry about it too much, because again, for what it tries to do, but it's very tight ratchet on the hip, less so on the knee joint, so it almost wobbles at different tolerances. No stability issues, but it is something that I kind of notice as soon as I pick it up. Certainly when you expect the weight to be in the upper section, it is much more towards the lower half. And there is a side kick out. Despite the weight, it still holds just under 90 degrees there. That's on a friction. Hip skirts are a little bit snug, but they move. There is an ab crunch. I don't think it goes an awful lot further than that. It feels like it wants to, but then the waist section wants to kind of bump into the top of the hip. But you do get some posing down. Don't be at all surprised if some of the back kibble starts to come forward. There is a waist joint, and you will get some slight poses. You'll start to bump into the back of the turret, but you can move the back of the turret out to get a little bit more clearance. This is where there's a lot to house, so he doesn't get these whole shoulder pieces moving. The shoulder itself is further down in line with the top of the chest, moves out on a friction, outward on a friction, a bit stiffer there. Bicep rotation is pretty good. Stiffer at the elbow, just over, well, a fair bit over 90 degrees, not quite all the way up. And you saw the wrist rotation as well, rotation round, rotation inwards, and the finger articulation. Head can look up like that and look down a bit. That's where the ab crunch will come in play a little bit more. And he can't look more than 90 degrees left or right for bumping into the turret behind him. But that's probably about as much as you could ever want. And I put on this face sculpt. He comes with a much more placid face, a normal, unimpressed face, but I like this one. It looks like he wants to cause mayhem and menace. Now, he does come with individual visors, and he does come with individual faces, a bit like Marg did. Now, I don't think, for putting only this one on, I managed to put the same visor on that came on the original placid face. And that's okay. It didn't really matter one way or the other. So I don't think it's like Marg to say you have to have certain visors to go with certain eyes. It would suggest that, being the fact there's multiple of them, but I did notice with Marg, with their Ultra Magnus, they were all individually numbered to marry them up. From what I've seen so far, I can't see any insignia on them to suggest that's what you have to do. But it's what they've done, and I think it just looks really cool like that, the menacing look. There is other visors. They all look much the same. They've all got the same type of groove, and I've just tried laying up the other faces against them. I can't see anything particularly that stops them from all being multi-use. They're all there, so you've got 4 to choose from. So there's the placid face he comes with, very grimacing face, and a very shouty face, similar to what came with Marauder. To get that on, you just pring off the underside of the face with your thumb, or if you've got a part separator. It's a little bit tight, but it will come off, and don't be at all surprised if the eyes come off along with it. But it's easy done. It's not something I do too often. And one other headpiece, it's the weird design. I never quite understood it, but he has the mini turret that goes onto the back of his head. You will need to do this detachment process, if I zoom out a bit more, you will need to do this detachment process similar to what it shows you in the video to get it on, just for the clearance and the access to the back of the head. But it's all on pegs, it's all easy done. I don't think it adds an awful lot. You've got the main turret there anyway, but it's another feature you can do depending what flavour you want your Blitzwing. I love some of the detailing on that chest. That's really cool. Gives the character a lot of presence, a lot of life. He's really dancing for the camera as well. When you get these paint schemes that are just on point, and there's more to this figure than just the paint scheme, I will say that, but it really just shows you that it belongs in a masterpiece collection. It just hits all the right notes. Sadly, I don't think there's a place for weapon storage on him other than, say, his hands, but the gun, of course, as well, will fold away down on the holster. Bit stiff, but it will do so. And that's about it, so on to some comparisons. Here he is alongside Fanstoys Thomas, their version of a G1 Astra Train. I'm surprised he's bigger. I really am, unless I've forgotten to cascade out some legs somehow on Thomas. It's been a while since I've taken him out of the cabinet. Do like how they look together, although I did think at the time this was a very dull colour scheme. He is, just Astra Train just is. Putting him alongside Blitzwing, it's really noticeable, if you see what I mean. I don't think that's a criticism as such, it's just something that's very apparent. That's a very muted colour scheme where this is just dancing for the camera. Yeah, it's good to have these two together. It will be how I display them. Fanstoys Sovereign, the Season 3 purple deco. I'm starting to come round to the theory that this guy does need to be re-released, particularly now the more shinier repaints coming out. I'm very much happy with the Sovereign mould and design, but yeah, when you put it alongside this and what a reflective purple can be versus a very matte and muted purple, it is a little bit night and day, but it's very cool to have these two together. They're very much a part of Season 3, so yeah, like that very much. Any excuse to show these off alongside Fanstoys Inquisitor. Both of these are gorgeous. Easily up there for some of the best Fanstoys painted figures of all. I love Inquisitor and how he shines, and Berserk is no different, no exception. It's really, really lovely. It's a shame I haven't still got Marg in the collection, because I think these three could easily be the best painted Fanstoys figures. They just look fantastic. Should he be taller than Scourge? Unless I've got Scourge slightly bending forward, maybe a little bit. He does stand taller. Blitzwing was tall, but was he as tall? I could believe Astra Train was taller. Possibly, I'd have to kind of reassess it in my head, but I don't think it's that much of a difference, but it's so cool seeing these two together. They look lovely. And the only other Blitzwing in my collection, alongside KFC Dicta. I think that's right, Dicta. The version of, well, X-Transbots KFC. Very much showing its age now, and when you put it alongside this, wow, does it compound it all the more. It's just looking old hat, isn't it? And this had problems notoriously, ankle stability, standing up, absolutely. It had its time, but this has really kicked it to the curb. Whether you got Star Toys, another one giving it a go, you know, that's up for debate. That's a bit of a different conversation because it's newer and a lot more toon accurate. But if you're like me and this was the only Blitzwing in your collection, that is absolutely worth the upgrade. Yes, quite a lot of time's passed. Easily, what, 6 years maybe? From when this guy came out, feels like 5 or 6 years. It's probably time for an upgrade. I'm okay with that. It just looks so much more improved. Proportions are right, paint is good. Really couldn't be more different. This guy did come with some nice accessories like the football, which was, yeah, cool. Very akin to Triple Takeover episode. But broadly speaking, it is night and day difference. Well, I say the only other Blitzwings I've got in my collection, I've got the Blockies version as well. What is a collective noun for Blitzwings after all? Okay, let's get this guy transformed up, shall we? First stage. And there he is in his tank mode. A fairly involved transformation. Not bad. And I think I followed everything right. I used the transformation videos that came from Fanstoys themselves. They've got pretty good with those videos now and shown the right things at the right point. There were a couple of bits that came untabbed and you had to kind of tab back in. There were some stages around the shoulders that were a bit fun and some very thin side panels. Also, tabbing in the front here, particularly around the undersection, was a little bit challenging because you're pushing against thin plastic and it keeps wanting to create this gap at the front. You just have to go back and tie in again. I think I've got most of it right, but more or less it shows you the tank image. It is a very good tank. Save a couple of issues, but broadly speaking, I really am impressed with the size and the deco of it. There's not an awful lot you can do with a tank. Now, okay, I'll mention it just because it's here. I can't remember it, but I've seen images since. I just don't like this front protruding bit. I know it's animation accurate, and I remember it with the Chug version that came out, but I just don't like it. I don't think it needs to be there. I wish it wasn't there, but it is. The only thing I guess I'm a little bit disappointed with, or two things, is the turret does seem to be a little on the short side. I would have thought it would have protruded a bit more forward. And again, no wheels of any kind, which I thought there were. There's the underside. It actually tabs together really well when you consider that's housing a robot and a jet. but you haven't got any rollers, nothing. It will just literally slide on the floor, just like Fanstoys Right did. And I think that's a little bit lazy, if I'm honest. I'm not asking for the world. I would like rolling tank treads, but that's a premium, and I know they have problems. If it's rubber, then you've got to house them as rubber treads like Beast Wars Rampage. But I think, was it Unique Toys Brawl that did actual chain tank treads, and they looked fantastic, but they were an absolute nightmare. So yeah, I would like it, but you know, I can forgive it. But the fact it just slides with no wheels, I don't know, feels a bit of a cheap step to me. But broadly speaking, really cool. Good turret articulation as well. Does help that the movable hinge upward gives you a little bit of clearance for rotation. Now, the only trouble I've got with it, I don't think there's a way to lock in the extending of the turret, so sometimes it can just easily go back in again. So I would have liked a way you turn it to lock it in place. But broadly speaking, that's fine enough. I just wish the turret was just a tad longer, just maybe out to here or something. That's all it is. He can hold his gun in this mode, which is nice, which is quite clever. The top hatch folds back. It's only on a hinge, folds all the way back, and the gun slots in at the top. And yeah, that's cool. I like that there's a bit of weapon storage and just gives him a bit more of an armoured look. Still, I don't think there's anywhere you store the sword. No, there are these grooves on the side, but they don't house the sword itself. I think you can store it more so in jet mode than this. But broadly speaking, that's pretty good. I do like it. I do wish there were wheels. I don't know, it feels a bit of a very minor thing, but it's just something that would have been better than just sliding across the floor. But I do really like the particular beige turret that's used. It's really got size and presence. It's got a lot of heft. Transformation wasn't awful. It was fairly involved around the legs, and a couple of bits felt a bit uncomfortable to a point, but nothing felt like it was going to break. Just follow the transformation steps on the video and you'll be fine. Just the occasional bits want to come untabbed a bit. I really did struggle getting these sections at the back in and clamped down. They took a fair bit of force, and as well some parts on the side here just want to come untabbed. So there's a lot to house. I don't begrudge it. Bit in the middle is coming untabbed. There's a lot to house, so I give it a bit of a pass. Okay, on to some comparisons. Now, I won't have the time to get Dicta up into tank mode whilst doing all of this review, but I recalled it from before, so I'll put the image up. It is night and day in terms of difference. Again, Dicta's was fine for its time. It was limited, but hey, at least I had wheels on the underside of it. It definitely is night and day in terms of colour palette. I don't know, maybe there is still a place for it in tank mode if you wanted to keep this Blitzwing in robot mode, the Fanstoys version that is. It's not to say it completely destroys it and blows out of water, but yeah, it's just time and modern engineering. They are worlds apart. Alongside Fanstoys Jabba, their Blur, that is real size difference. I mean, it just shows you the size that we're dealing with. I love the heft and the size of this tank. Putting alongside some of the bigger Masterpiece figures, it really shows it. Alongside X-Transbot's Big Load. Love the big vehicle vibe here, but look at the real difference that they're going for. Okay, one's a Constructicon, one's not, but it's just real big, tall, stocky vibe versus real flattened out and very aggressive looking tank. It's brilliant. I love getting these real Masterpiece scale vehicles. That's exactly what I want. And for something a bit different, alongside Masterpiece movie Bumblebee for the live action films from Takara. Just so I'm not showing you Red Alert all the time. Okay, let's get this guy transformed up into his jet mode, shall we? And there he is in his jet mode. And that is as damn near a perfect alt mode, jet mode for Blitzwing as I think I've ever seen. That is so good. Now, I went from tank mode into jet mode. The instructional videos that came out, whilst they were good, both showed you to start from the robot mode position. And if you're going from one to the other and then ultimately back to robot mode, it's not one up there for that, so you're kind of making up your own way. Fortunately, from watching the videos, going to both modes more or less involves the same steps. So I guess half the transformation's already done for you. I think I've got it all right. I checked over it and checked over it again. I'm sure someone will tell me if I'm wrong. Thank you. But I love this. I am so impressed. Once you get it right, and once everything tabs in and stays tabbed in, and broadly speaking everything does, it's very impressive. And I didn't think the jet mode would be. I thought it would be the lesser of the two modes. I'm not sure of the two alt modes. I'm not sure which one is the lesser. They're both quite good in different ways. So, one thing I'll point out, it's a mild thing, he doesn't quite reach the floor with his front. He seems to want to tip backwards. Just something I noticed on a hard surface. You have to push down to get the front wheel. I'm not going to cry about that. Yeah, the bits that probably fault me the most were these sections that you've got to get quite flat to get them tabbed in. I probably haven't done that section all that right, but you know, it's not the worst thing. Now I will point out this bit. Tabbing in the arms to the side of the body, it's really hard to see because it's all dark and you've got to get them onto a peg on the side of the forearm. For the tank mode, it's not such a problem because everything's housed around it. For the jet mode, it's much more integral because all the jet pieces aren't stuck to the side, they're fanned out. And it is a little bit tricky to do, so keep at it. I will say, broadly speaking, once you get things lined up, they do stay there. This peg in the centre does want to keep coming untabbed, and a few bits on the undersection as well. But once you give it a really good lock-in, there's a lot of class here to keep everything down. The one that gave me the most trouble throughout all of this, as I think I showed you for tank mode, is that peg at the back there. Getting these two pieces to go flush to the body and then locking in, it kept coming out again. Not the worst thing in the world. I think one reason, again, I'm back to the paint job. And again, it's not just the paint job that's selling this figure. It is a good figure. It's surprisingly not over heavy as well. I think I was quite impressed by that, thinking, is this just going to be a big clump? For whatever reason you'll want it on a flight stand, would it be too much weight for it? And I don't think it would be. I've certainly felt worse. I've dealt with worse. One of these tail fins pinged off on me, but they can go back on. Yeah, I'm really impressed. Now, I'm not sure of these fins at the back. They're there. Do they need to be there? I can't recall we're seeing them necessarily. I don't mind either way. I just thought that's a bit odd, but never mind. Yeah, colour me very impressed. I do really like it. Everything locks in. Very good size. Just very impressed all around. And he can do some weapon storage as well, which is cool. Otherwise, thinking of it, he hasn't got any guns on him. He hasn't got any underside jets, or not jets, blasters, that's the word. So I think that's quite cool that you can plug on his weaponry. Not that he could shoot from a sword necessarily. But yeah, just if you want to keep everything together, I think that's quite cool. Just pegs onto the side of the engines. Overall, very impressed. So on to some comparisons. Here he is alongside X-Trans Bot's Ballistic, their version of Misfire, one of my previous reviews. It's quite sizable. I mean, this guy isn't small. He cascades up a bit more than Blitzwing would. But that is quite interesting. Again, just shows you how large this Blitzwing figure is, this Berserk is. Really cool. I do really like it in the jet mode. I'm very pleasantly surprised. Not that I wasn't for tank mode, but this mode has really caught me off guard. One of the few other jets I have transformed up currently, alongside Age of the Prime Silverbolt in his full combined mode, as it were. Again, really, really large, considering he's alongside a very large commander class. Not really the same scale, but both jets, and you somewhat get the idea. And to really give you a sense of scale, alongside Takara, Masterpiece, Skyfire. This again just looks big even alongside this, which is massive. That's incredible. I don't think these two actually shared a scene together, thinking of it. I can't think of many in jet mode anyway, side by side, or even otherwise. Very cool. I do really like this jet mode. Fanstoys, I think, have nailed that. Doesn't look out of place alongside any other jet form. Oh, and it's worth mentioning as well, I don't think there's a way to lift the cockpit up. I think it is just translucent. You can get a bit of a look as to what's inside, but you can't gain access to it. It's the only thing I'd say is a mild annoyance, but nothing that's going to break the bank on this figure. So what is my view on this Berserker? I've got it in jet mode because I won't have time to get it back into robot mode before any kind of light disappears to talk about it. Plus, it is still quite fresh in my mind for the transformation, so I want to touch on that as well. Now, yes, I haven't got the Star Toys Blitzwing. It's actually one figure I've never handled. From what I gather, a lot of people have it in their collection, and it is their very Toon-inspired Blitzwing. Although I think it stands quite tall. I have heard that. It does stand very large. Not that this guy doesn't as well. But in terms of doing direct comparisons, it's hard for me to comment on it. I will put a photo up and just give you a very broad brush idea in a direct comparison to this. Obviously, it does not have the paint job that Fanstoys has. But I think broadly speaking, they cut much the same figure. There are some differences around hiding of the tank treads and how the feet are designed, perhaps. It is going to be the sticking point, and the question is, do you feel enough to upgrade to Fanstoys, or do you want to keep with the Star Toys? Unfortunately, I can't comment too much on that. However, I will talk about this figure and what I think its plus points are. The paint is obviously gorgeous. It is one of the best Fanstoys figures painted. Mostly they've all been good, and they're starting to get to a point of more frequent releases that they're just very, very stunning. Even Bandit, who was not my favourite figure, had a very nice paint job on it. The purple in this is lovely. However, when we did get some revised Tease product shots a little while ago, it did look like a bit of a magenta pink, and I wouldn't have hated that for just something a little bit different. I think it would have looked quite cool, but we got a very rich purple here, and you get it into one of these modes. Less so on the tank mode, but the robot or jet mode where it is very solid and it's very here. Oh, it's lovely. It's so good. But as I've been saying throughout the review, it is not just the paint job that is the plus point for this figure. I am pleasantly surprised about the weight distribution of it. There is a lot of die cast here, yes, but it doesn't feel completely overbearing. So right now the weight is very centered to the back of it. Hence why you slightly saw him leaning back a little bit when he's on his all wheels. But it doesn't feel like it can't support its own weight. So there's a right plastic to die cast ratio being used. The accessories are really good that it comes with all the different flavours of Blitzwing. The weaponry is nice enough. It's very iconic for his sword and his gun. Otherwise, it just does everything that you need a masterpiece Blitzwing to do. The transformation was long, yes. It's not the most involved transformation I've ever done. It's not the most painful one, and it wasn't plastic on plastic, and I haven't even had any paint chippage, which is just as well, considering you've got a lot of bits that kind of tab over one another. Bits that do have opportunities to rub against one another, but broadly speaking, everything locks in well, and there's no damage come the end of it. What would I like more on it? We're back to wheels. I feel it's a bit of a silly point to mention, but if we got rolling wheels for a landing gear in jet mode, I'd like the same on the tank treads. Just one or two little rolling wheels just to give some kind of rolling aspect that it's not dragging itself along the floor. In an ideal world, I'd like moving tank treads, but that's a hell of a thing to engineer, so I'm not going to cry about that too much. But broadly speaking, I want a masterpiece, very well painted figure that looks very good in all modes, tabs in really well, and has a great sense of weight and depth to it that I feel I'm getting my money's worth, and that's what this guy absolutely nails. All three modes are really good. Maybe the tank mode is the weaker of the three, maybe. There's really not a lot in it. It's just some of its limitations maybe around the turret. I would have liked it to have protruded just that little bit further, but broadly speaking it does a really good job, and I especially love it in jet mode. But I'll probably keep it in robot mode alongside Astra Train, Galvatron, Inquisitor, Scourge and Cyclonus. It's a very beautiful piece. It's a shame it's taken so long for Fanstoys to finish it. Articulation around the knees in robot mode was a little bit annoying. I don't think it's going to affect posability too much, but also at the same time I don't think he's going to get into those deep lunges. He casts the figure that he's going to stand very tall and stocky, and you're going to have him in a very much an A stance, I would think. And that's okay, it's not a problem. But for what it does, a triple changer, die cast, three quite different modes, there's got to be a little bit of slack given to Fanstoys for that. They've done very much a good job. If you've got Star Toys, it's going to be up to you whether you feel the need to swap out for it. The problem with that's going to be trying to sell Star Toys now on a secondary market to get money to pay for this. This is now up for sort of £150, and that's fine, okay. I don't think it's worth too much more than that. I certainly don't think it's going to come down a whole lot less. But you're probably not going to get the money back on Star Toys to put that money towards this. If you are like me, however, and your only previous masterpiece Blitzwing was KFC, then yes, it's absolutely worth the upgrade, and I'm very pleased now to have a much more modern Blitzwing in my collection. Based on this, I'm giving this guy 4 3/4 Rodimus Star Badges. Just a couple of things maybe around a turret that I would like a way to lock it in and secure it. I don't think I've missed that. And if it was just that shade longer, plus if there were some wheels on the tank treads. Very minor nitpicky things, but I think it does a very solid job. I think it is the best Blitzwing out there in the masterpiece scale. I'm sorry if you just picked up a Star Toys, but it's really, really good, and I do highly recommend you pick it up if you haven't already. And there we go, that is my version of Fanstoys FT-21, that long ago, Berserk, their version of a G1 Blitzwing. I'll put some photos up at the end. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and hit that subscribe button, because I will see you on the next one.